Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
In the wake of his loss against Terence Crawford, what is Canelo Alvarez's next step? Redemption or retirement? Let's talk about it.
So, as we all saw, Terence Crawford dominated Canelo Alvarez in the recent match this past 1 week ago, almost 1 week ago now. So there's a number of things that kind of come up as far as questions. A lot of people were questioning whether Terence Crawford was going to retire. I actually put up a poll up on our channel asking you guys if you guys thought that the Canelo Alvarez era was over. Right now, it's at 100% that people think it's over. So with that being said, we obviously have a couple questions that we need to ask. Where does Canelo go from here? Is he going to go ahead and go into retirement? Some of the things that he said kind of make me think that he might be considering retirement. He basically said at the press conference afterwards, hey, look, my body just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. To me, that sounds like retirement talk. Or can he come back and, redeem himself? The reality of the circumstances is, where is Canelo Alvarez going to go if he does decide to get that redemption? Let's be honest, and this is actually going to be a topic of a different video we're going to do. There's one big name everybody wants to see. We already know, David Benavidez. This is a man that's been kind of chasing after Canelo for quite some time. David Benavidez said that if it's for Canelo, he's more than willing to come down to 168. He said he has no problem making the weight if it need be, but it would have to be for a big fight. Turki Al-Sheikh did ask in a tweet that he put out, can David Benavidez still make 168? That kind of fired off speculation for a number of different people, but we're going to focus right now on Canelo Alvarez. So there's that potential fight for him. That's honestly the only real big thing that I see on the horizon that Canelo can really kind of go after. Yes, we have other champions. Obviously, we just saw a great fight between Mbili and Martinez. Mbili was stated to fight Canelo Alvarez. I want to say it was last year. They were at least in talks about potentially fighting. So that could be another potential one. But if I'm being honest, I want to see Mbili and Martinez run it back one more time to get a definitive answer on who the winner is. So that's another potential fight. But listen, other than that, there's not too many other names that I believe could potentially be in. Now, I know some people mentioned the guy that just beat the as my friend here says, the country breakfast out of Edgar Berlanga. Murtazalev, I know that I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He put a phenomenal beat down on Berlanga, so he's a potential name in there. Listen, man, the reality of the circumstances is that while Canelo has a few options as far as where he could go to not necessarily maybe draw in the biggest amount of attention, but it could be good money fights for him, and it could also be a potential to potentially redeem himself. The reality of the circumstances is if Canelo himself is acknowledging, hey, man, my body just isn't responding like it once did. Nobody beats Father Time. I just don't have the reaction time that I did in my youth, all that good stuff. The circumstances is retirement could be on the horizon for Canelo Alvarez. I personally think he's going to have one or two more fights, and after those one or two more fights, I think he's going to call it a day. He had a 4-fight deal with Riyadh season, if I'm not mistaken. So that would fall right into my prediction of one or two more fights. The opponent, the only one that everybody really wants to see is him versus David Benavidez. If I'm being honest, I think David Benavidez is going to smoke him based on this performance, his previous performance. We've acknowledged more than a few times that Canelo Alvarez has just been slowing down for quite some time, whether it's his speed, whether it's his punch output, whether it's his actual strength itself, all that good stuff. So I do believe that that's also potentially on the horizon. Listen, even if he does retire today, even if this was his last match, Canelo said it himself. He's etched his name into history. One of the very few undisputed champions in the 4-belt era. A huge number of accolades, number of great victories, so on and so on. Fought the best. No one can accuse him, other than David Benavidez, of dodging people. So yeah, listen, man, I'm not sure what Canelo's going to do. I personally do think, again, my prediction is he is going to fight once or twice more. I don't think he's going to look phenomenally. Maybe one of those he'll look good. But I don't think he will look good in the other one, and I think that's when he's going to call it a career. That's my personal prediction. I don't think a lot of people are asking if he retires, is there any potential for him to redeem himself? I'll be honest with you. I don't think he needs to redeem anything. He fought the pound for pound number one fighter on the planet. It was well, personally, I didn't have it as close as the judges have. The judges had it a lot closer. And that being said, listen, there's nothing to redeem in my eyes. He's fought great champions, number of great champions, great name. A lot of those undefeated individuals. I think if he decides to retire today, hey man, he did his thing. He etched his name in history. Time to go enjoy that sweet retirement money and see where it goes from there. So either way, I'll be honest with you, with whichever one he decides to do, I think you have the support of obviously all of his fans. I think people will tune in for his last two matches, especially if one of those is David Benavidez, which I personally think he's going to save until his last fight on the contract. But we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. I don't think he needs to redeem himself in any way. I think he did great throughout his entire career. I think maybe it is time to start considering that final off ramp on the career highway and go enjoy that sweet time with your family and your money, man. He's made plenty of it. He's on the verge of just boxing wise, not even counting his investments outside of boxing. He's on the verge of just strictly in boxing making $1 billion, which he would be the first to do so if he does do that. So we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. Again, either way, it doesn't matter what he does. I think it's going to be a good showing for the fans, good showing for himself, and I think he'll be proud of himself no matter what it is. But what do you think about that, my man?
I mean, Turki Al-Sheikh did basically tweet out after meeting with Canelo. You know, they did a photo op after the Crawford and Canelo boxing event. He basically said, yeah, you know, Canelo is gonna, you know, take the rest of the year off, you know, go enjoy vacation with his family, which I do think, you know, after a humongous fight like that and making God knows how much amount of money, I was like, I do think vacation is needed, especially after you lost all four of your belts, losing your undisputed super middleweight championship status. After all that, I'm like, you know what, a break is basically necessary for Canelo. Turki Al-Sheikh did continue on and say, okay, he's gonna take his, you know, vacation, be with his family for, you know, for the rest of the year, and then come 2026, he's gonna fight out the rest of his 2 fights that he has left on his contract, and we're basically gonna be working on those 2 fights. I do think Canelo's gonna try and negotiate, and again, speculating on my end, I do think he's gonna try and negotiate at the very least a kind of a softer exhibition style kind of warm-up fight for the first fight on his last of 2 that he has on his contract. Maybe try and basically hype himself up, you know, basically get him ready for another fight. I'd be pessimistic if I was going to say that the second fight was just going to be another exhibition style match where it was basically just trying to show off what he has left to try and basically write out his contract. I do think Turki Al-Sheikh might fight him on that. I think with the speculation of can David Benavidez make 168, I think that one's the fight that he's going to try and campaign for the most, to be on Canelo Alvarez's last fight on that card, which I do think Turki will at the very least let him have one warm-up fight on his last of 2 before that. But I do think Turki Al-Sheikh is going to try and campaign as hard as he can for David Benavidez to be that last shot, which again, I feel bad for David Benavidez because again, we've already talked about the political quagmire that he found himself trying to fight against Canelo when he had all the belts. The second one in which he found himself trying to get up to light heavyweight and try and fight Bivol and Beterbiev, and that's not panning out as quickly as he'd hoped. And I do think this is a third one for him. It was like, yeah, I get Canelo Alvarez, but all I'm getting is just the money. Like, I think Dave Benavidez truly wanted to beat Canelo Alvarez and for all the belts, and now he's just getting Canelo Alvarez. Which, again, he gets what he wanted, but unfortunately, it's the monkey paw curling internet's up and says, you get Canelo, you're not champion. Which, again, it sucks. It sucks hardcore. I feel so bad for Dave Benavidez if that's the case. I mean, granted, I don't feel too bad for him. He's still probably going to get millions if the fight gets made. If the fight gets made. But should the fight get made, again, you have the grandest chance to finally get that fight you always wanted. And none of the prestige that comes with it anymore. Which, again, I do think that's the last fight. Bold prediction. I do think that's the last fight that's going to be on Canelo Alvarez's record. But, again, I feel so bad for Dave Benavidez if that's the case. All the goals that you wanted, none of the prestige.
Yeah, man, I think they say none of the prestige. I mean, Canelo Alvarez is still a marquee name, so I would disagree with you a little bit there. But yeah, man, listen, as far as the redemption and retirement question, which one do you think is more likely?
I do think it's more likely on Canelo Alvarez's part that he would probably try and campaign for softer fights in his last contracts to try and maybe write it out. I don't think necessarily that he's going to go the redemption route. I do think he's going to look for more exhibition fights to make himself look good on his way out. So this is his basically going to be, he's looking to make his farewell tour as best as he can, as opposed to actually redeem himself accolade wise.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, that could definitely be it. I do agree with you that I think it is going to be more of a softer fight for his next match in May of next year. And then a final one, I do think, like you said, Turkey is going to push hard for Turkey. And listen, if you guys remember, Canelo Alvarez said, hey, you pay me $200 million, I'll fight him. He just got 150 for Terence Crawford. Why can't he get 200 for David Benavidez? So I think more than ever that fight with David Benavidez is potentially likely. I do think the likelihood of it happening is pretty big. I think once Canelo realized, hey man, this is my last match, I'm gone. I do think at that moment in time, I do think he's gonna cash out for as much as possible. Same thing Floyd Mayweather did. All the individuals, on their last fight, they try to make sure that they cash out big. So I do think that's gonna be the one. I think David Benavidez will be his final match. It's gonna be an interesting one. I personally, again, I'll say it again, I have David Benavidez winning that pretty handsomely, if I'm being honest. But Canelo's going to go down swinging, man, which will be a testament to his career down on his own. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what these next two fights entail, who those going to be. The only question is really, at least as far as my mind, because I do think his last one is going to be David Benavidez. It's who that middle fight is going to be. That should be interesting. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It'll be a good time and a good speculation for everybody to see what happens. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.